It's a lovely morning and a warm welcome to the program today's business. Kunle Ario is my name. The removal of the much-hyped petroleum subsidy will be a reality by June this year, when the provision for it in the 2020 budget would have been expired. Ahead, the planned subsidy removal, the federal government has secured $800 million from the World Bank to provide post-petroleum subsidy palliatives for over 50 million Nigerians. The first tranche of palliative are said to be ready for distribution. So this morning, taking a look at what will be the impact of the palliative when Nigerians start getting it. My guest is already here in the studio. We'll take a break now. When we'll come back with the grand running place. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program in today's business. This morning, we're taking a look at the subsidy removal and also the palliative that will come with it when the removal actually takes effect from June this year. And I have in the studio my guest. We're going to do justice to it. I have Barrister FELIX ALONGE, the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Social Investment and also a political scientist. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this program this morning.
Oh, thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
Let's take a look.
Let's take
a look at the subsidy itself.
Yeah.
The removal. What's your take on this?
The issue of fuel subsidy removal has been a recurring decimal over a period of time in Nigeria. That because of the pressure that government is actually facing revenue generation, and not being able to have sufficient funds to execute essentially or provide services that will enhance the welfare of the good people of Nigeria. And that is why some experts and government itself has actually come to the idea that for the interest of Nigeria, it is, and for the interest of the economy, it to be better to allow for total deregulation in which oil subsidy will no longer be on board again, based on the Petroleum Act that has been passed and the Petroleum Industry Act actually focuses on the removal of oil subsidy. And the regime has been provided for that as a so-called that between January and June this year, government provide a soft landing for Nigeria so that government will still try as much as possible to ensure that subsidy is provided for, and it was actually budgeted for 3.6 trillion naira. It was a whopping sum of money, and if this sort of money had actually been injected to other sectors of the economy, it could have actually have economic multiplier effects that will propel development in this country, particularly in the area of social development, providing for education, providing for health and other social services. And according to the record of NAT, Nigeria Extractive Industry Initiatives, that between 2005 and 2022, about 30.7 trillion that have been expended as a subsidy, which is a huge sums of money as far as Nigeria is concerned. So that I think, for me, we know that there are a lot of outcry from the labor union, from those in oil and gas industry, that they are not in support of removal of subsidy. It's not that they are totally against it, that no proper consultation, that the government ought to have carried them along, because laborers and workers are going to be they face the immediate consequences of the removal of subsidy. You know, as of now, Nigerian populace is seriously stressed, under pressure and under economic pains, and with the removal of subsidy without soft landing in terms of palliatives.
We'll come to the issue of
that it may not.
Let's talk about the subsidy itself.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the breakdown of figures from the National Bureau of Statistics.
Yeah.
We discovered that just 13 naira is what is being subsidized on a liter of petrol.
Yes.
For whoever buys from the filling stations. Would you say that 13 naira is also too much that Nigerians can get from government?
Unless when you 13 naira is not a small money when you look at the quantum in relation to the per liter that Nigerians do consume on daily basis.
800 million liters per day. 800
million liters, and you say it's a whooping sum of money. The money is huge because we are talking in terms of economy, and we cannot joke with our economy is our life. And this time around, we know that oil, particularly petroleum products, are very, very important for our daily usage, both at individual level, government level, and also in the various industries. That is the factories they make use of. But this is, we must be determined as Nigerians that this time around, let's try what actually happened in the communication industry that was dysregulated. When the GSA came, a line was bought for 30,000, 40,000, but today it's virtually free. And because a lot of people are coming to the industry. And the same thing is going to happen to the oil industry with time.
But that has not happened to kerosene and diesel. Kerosene subsidy has been removed on kerosene and also diesel. But then you see the prices of this.
The issue is that
going up.
The issue is that you know, this is a product that has a global network, and at the same time we have viable refinery as far as Nigeria is concerned. Dangote is about to come on board. Port Harcourt oil refinery is yet to come on board, but government has actually invested so much to ensure that Port Harcourt and Dangote refineries come on board so that to assist Nigerians. You know, what has actually influenced government is the issue of the Petroleum Industrial Act. That without a total deregulation, the act will not actually be fully implemented. It's on the basis of law, and this is also economy. But the most important is that, as if Nigerians, sincerity on the part of government, that whatever savings that we have from oil subsidy are actually pumped into the economy, that we ensure good living for Nigerians. Nigerians will be prepared to bear the pains. But over the years, Nigerians will find it difficult to trust government. But thank God, a new government is coming on board with less than a month. So this time, May 29. And for me, this is a new regime in terms of administration, and it's going to be a new regime as far as the Nigerian economy is concerned. So that we must start to lay a new foundation for our economic life. And that the World Bank itself now feels that as other nations have been assisted, they also need to assist Nigeria. And over the years, for the past 10 years, the World Bank has advised Nigeria, the Nigerian government, that, oh, you need to deregulate, you need to remove a subsidy, that this subsidy will benefit in most cases.
But the reality,
I don't even faceless.
But the reality,
the sincerity of even paying the subsidy, we don't even know whether that subsidy actually be paid or not paid. It's another cup of tea.
But the reality is this: that when this subsidy is also removed in June, there's likelihood that the pump price of petrol will also go up. Nigerians are looking at 500, 600 naira per liter. Don't you think that will also pose a serious challenge to the incoming government?
That is definitely they are going to. We already have stressed populace in Nigeria. Nigerians are actually under serious economic pressure, and as a way of providing succor for the vulnerable and the poor, that World Bank face that must be human face in the implementation of the subsidy.
Let's quickly take a break now, and when we take this break, we'll take a report on this subsidy removal and what Nigerians are also saying about the subsidy, because they're also expecting that subsidy removal will also come on stream in the next 1 or 2 months. Please take a look at this report.
One of the decisions of the federal government to address the dwindling economic status of Nigeria is petrol subsidy removal, which is expected to commence soon. The development informed government's decision to secure an $800 million relief package from the World Bank to minimize the effect of subsidy removal on the citizens. Government workers are not also left out of the package, as a 40% salary increase takes effect this April. However, the recent data by the Debt Management Office puts Nigeria's public debt at 46.25 trillion naira or $103.11 billion at end of December 2022, compared to 39.56 trillion naira or $95.77 billion in 2021. Financial expert Lawrence Adubiaru, who lauded the initiative of subsidy removal, frowned at government's plan to expend the $800 million loan acquired for poverty alleviation.
To the best of my knowledge, I believe that anything that will not add value and create economic growth, the government don't have business in it. Because if you want to say you want to cushion the effect, is it going to be one-off? Is it going to be continual? Is it going to be annually?
Olatubosun Awe is a public affairs analyst who added his voice calling on government to have a rethink on the planned decision to use the funds for poverty alleviation.
I will not. I will have suggested that such money should be channeled towards refurbishing our Hailing refinery, because that was what really originated the issue of subsidy. I think that should be tackled headlong. If the refinery are functioning well, there will not have been need for importation of fuel. So ordinarily, we should look at the area of, this is just like beating about the bush. It might not really be the issue.
Speaking on the contrary, Ondo State Chairman, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Tunde Omomofe, throws his weight behind government's decision, saying the loan acquired is a follow-up process that has been on for the past few years.
It's not anything coming in as a shock. It's a conversation that we've had a long time. It's so important at this time because when you now look at our national economy, particularly our national budget, we found out that government that continue to go into borrowing on the basis that they are using the borrowing for the money borrowed to take care of subsidy on petroleum. So it is something that we are now facing, and it is obvious that subsidy has to go. That seems to be.
Ondo State Coordinator, Youth Empowerment State Operation Coordinating Unit, Olaluwa Bankole, described the policy as a good one to ensure that the downtrodden are not neglected. He assured that the mode of getting the funds delivered to the direct recipients cannot be a problem because government already has the data of those identified through the agency in charge of fund intervention in each of the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
The government already have a database of poor and vulnerable Nigeria that has been put together over time. In fact, as a matter of fact, in Ondo State here, when we are putting together our own social register of poor and vulnerable households, we have ensured that we have all the data points that is required. Even those without bank account, we have facilitated opening of bank account for them. So what I'm saying in essence is that it is now easier for government to also reach out to those people without third party, without any intermediary.
Meanwhile, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has explained that the $800 million is the first tranche of palliatives to be disbursed through the cash transfers to about 50 million Nigerians who belong to the most vulnerable category of society.
Barrister FELIX ALONGE the senior special assistants to the governor on social investment, and also we also see talking about the palliative that we should expect to come on board in June. Let's take a look at what those people are also saying. Those respondents, they are of the opinion that it is not about sharing of money that will bring the palliative to ensure that what will also follow the removal, the succor, that should not be by sharing of money. So how or what should Nigerians look at when we also get to see this $800 million as palliative?
The issue of palliative has something to do with the sharing of money. It's not sharing of money. It's just as a way of providing a window to Nigerians, particularly for the poor and the vulnerable in the rural communities and the more poor. Because even in urban centers, we have some of them that are poor. And it is a misconception that the palliative is, and the process of the disbursement is that we go from house to house to start distributing money to people, 5,000, 10,000. It is not like that. The issue you have to look at certain variables. Who are those? Are the small businesses and sector of the economy? Those are those people to be considered, and those that are not even captured within the bank industry, that they don't have the financial capacity to save their money in the banks or go to the bank. Those are some of the people that will be considered. And then we have National Social Register, but for me that one is not sufficient. The total Nigerians captured by the National Social Register is not even up to 30% of the targeted figure of 50 million Nigerians to be assisted with that $800 million, which translates to about 10 million households as far as the record of the World Bank is concerned. And for me, I wish to suggest that at least the money that is ready, that $800 million, the implementation and the disbursement should not commence until the incoming administration. More so that the National Assembly is very serious and desirous of having a law that will institutionalize the social investment. This create an agency so that you have a structured system that the disbursement of these palliatives and other financial support will be properly channeled, so that it will not be a story like what happened in the past, particularly the Shopi. But this time around, I think Buhari has taken a good initiative in getting support from the World Bank. And with Tinubu coming on board, I know that the money, that $800 million, is going to assist the administration, at least to provide support for Nigeria, and a lot of money will be saved from the subsidy removal, so that the economy needs to be structured. Government must prevent wastage, and at the same time there will be available money for infrastructural development. At this time, because we are moving to a new phase of administration, it's a good thing to lay a proper foundation, because the superstructure of the economy, the base is very, very important. And that is why the palliative to be given is not for consumption, it's for productive activities at the lower ladder of the economy, so that Nigerians, we should not get it wrong that the palliative is just providing rice, providing vegetable oil, providing this and that. No, it is capital to support their various businesses, so that there will be a multiplier effect that we call it safety net to create job opportunities and to have new entrepreneurs and to have new investors.
But this support we are looking at cannot be more than 20,000 naira per individual. Do you think that will also be enough to cushion the effect of subsidy removal?
Let me tell you, people are not going to give you the same amount. It depends on the volume of your investment, the type of trade you are into. And let me tell you, you will submit your proposals, you will submit your those that are involved. We have to look at certain parameters, those things you have, that they have the capacity to utilize 100,000 naira or 5 million naira for the purpose of propelling and enhancing your business. It's not issue of 5,000. Let me tell you, there are some people who collect 5,000. And even under this administration, they are collecting 5,000, 10,000, and they are highly appreciative, and the economic life has changed tremendously. And they are actually appreciating the
current economy and the reality on ground. Do you think 5,000 naira will be enough for anybody to do anything?
Let me tell you, the woman that is roasting yam, the woman that is selling mama, the woman that is selling tomato will be highly desirous and happy. A woman in a village that has access to 5,000 naira on monthly basis will be highly appreciated. And even as a matter of fact, under Nigerian case in which Ondo State is benefiting, and that is why the rating of Nigeria of Ondo State among 36 states, we are first. That this government of Akeredolu have actually networked with the federal government to make sure that we benefit substantially, so that a lot of the poor and the vulnerable, they are already the poverty line as far as concerned.
We will come to Ondo State as regards how prepared our readiness for this palliative. But before that, don't you think that because some school of thought have also said that instead of us sharing this money or giving me this money,
it's not sharing, it's support.
Okay. Instead of what happened the other time, instead of this support of 20,000 naira, why not that the money could also be used for a turnaround maintenance of our refinery, so that we can also produce refined petrol locally?
Let me tell you, the issue of this palliative is just one of the legs in which government is going to have interface in ensuring that our economy actually come on board. And the federal government and the World Bank in his own wisdom is that Nigeria needs to be assisted. Even when you look at the interest rate to be paid, the money is more or less free, not even up to 2%. So that why don't we take our own share?
Because it will be paid over 25 years.
The repayment to 2051. It is a long period of time, and the interest rates and the increase is not even up to 2%. What government needs to do is to give Nigerians proper education and let Nigerians have trust in the government. It is the problem that we because of the corrupt nature of our leaders, and people don't do the right thing and not proper interface. That is why Nigerians don't trust their leaders. But this time around, with the new administration, let's give this support, benefit of doubt. Let's try this for subsidy removal, and it's going to be beneficial because a lot of money will be saved for the other sectors of the economy. In which case, is at the end of the day, we will say that we will be praising God that it is that this pain we are going to go through actually paid off at the end of the day.
So would you say we are ready in Ondo State for this palliative?
Very much, because our governor, our middle governor, is always determined. When he came aboard, in the first time he said he's going to leave Ondo State better than he met it. That's going to develop the people on the land, and he has been doing it. Apart from the infrastructure development, he also created an office in which we have Dr. Mrs. Olumola, the special advisor, and all the social investment programs that are initiated by the federal government. Substantially, we have our own share of it. And that is why that has what I've given Ondo State first rating among 36 states and
I ask you this question because of I know for a fact that the database in Ondo State is we need to update that. Have you started updating the database for those who benefit from this palliative?
If you let me tell you, like the advice you give, I said that there was the Senate committee to consider the creation of an agency and to establish a law for the social investment program. And the general consensus in which the senators agreed with those of us who represented the various states, is that we need to expand the enumeration. We must capture a lot of people more in the National Social Register, so that a lot of people will benefit. Because at the time when the social register was being generated, not only in Ondo State, people the years ago, it is a lie. When a lie, not the true. Those of them were supposed to benefit, they didn't have their names in the social register, because the compilation of the social register is devoid of political coloration, is devoid of religious sentiments. So that we went to the various communities, there were town hall meetings in which the people told us that, oh, these people are actually poor, because the World Bank has its own criteria to determine the poor and the vulnerable. And that is the best way to do it. Let's expand. So we're going to use we're doing further enumeration. So we are going to use World Bank templates now for this. Yes, because the World Bank requested the young government to generate the National Social Register. But the figure there is not sufficient enough as far as I'm concerned. We need to capture more. Even the so-called that even the area that are poor, even have more poor people even in urban centers here, because we have got a lot of migration from the rural area to the urban centers, and they are so poor. Those of our people that are in villages, they can easily get accommodation, they can easily move to the farmstead and get what they will eat on a daily basis. But urban centers, we are doing anybody see the rate of poverty in urban centers across the length and breadth of the country is very, very serious. So we are ready for this palliative. As far as those things is concerned, Mr. Governor, Dr. Misolubumi, and every one of us in the Social Investment Department, we are ready for the implementation. More so that the federal government is coming up with the creation of an agency in which we have a component of it across the 30 states of the Federation and FCT, and every state must support, because poverty has not to do with the politics. We still need to come back to discuss this matter because of our time. It's not on our side, because I also know for a fact that we still need to update that data, where you also need to capture more people. But I just want to tell at least Nigerians, let's give federal government this opportunity for the removal of subsidy, and we are going to benefit substantially. In the last 75 minutes, I've been speaking with Barrister FELIX ALONGE, Senior Special Assistant on Social Media to the Governor, and also a political scientist. We're going to be taking a look at $800 million subsidy palliative that Nigerians are expecting the next 2 years or 2 months or thereabout. Thank you so much for sharing your thought with us on the show today. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. That's how it's going to be on the show today. Join us on Friday for another one. Kunle Ariyo is my name. Good morning.